Good evening, everybody. Before we get started, we've got a quick message from our sponsors here. Hello, plebs. This is Lord Birkenhead. Do you want to make the future super lit? How dope would it be to dab on animal haters and save the planet while making hella Skrilla and disrupting capitalism and smashing the patriarchy? The only long-term investment better than a sick face tattoo is Beyond Meat. The animals will be so stoked. All right. We're here. Sorry, sometimes we got to run ads. We got to keep the show going here. Rampant demonetization all over YouTube. Rampant censorship all over the internet now. The YouTube we once knew seems to be quickly fading into the past. But let's see. Let me see. We got a bunch of people here waiting. We're tasting the rainbow tonight, guys. We're tasting the rainbow, guys. All right, we got a bunch of people in the chat. What's happening, everybody? What's happening? There's all kinds of stuff happening. There's all kinds of stuff happening today. Let's get into it. We're talking about tasting the rainbow. Talking about tasting that rainbow today. Let me make sure my latency. I forgot to change the setting on the latency on my stream so that the chat is caught up here. 1 second, guys. 1 second now. So yeah, it's been a long time since I've done a solo stream here. We've been busy trying to get our house built, running the business, fighting against all this degenerate nonsense we see in the world. And but it's nice to be back. It's nice to be back here, guys. Let's come over here to the ingestion settings and change. Where is this? Where's the latency settings? You know what? I can't change the latency settings because I've already started the stream. It is what it is. Anyways, I'm not here. I don't just sit here and react to the chat. We actually do legitimate live streams. We come prepared here at Primal Edge Health. We got loads of people in the chat. We'll be accepting super chats. If you guys got some super chats, if you want us to hit on anything, if you got any questions you want answered, feel free to throw the super chats. These videos have been getting quite a bit of demonetization hits. They've been getting hit by some demonetization pretty consistently now. So the super chats are always appreciated. They're always helpful. But let's get into it, guys. Today we're tasting the rainbow. Now, in honor of the massive corporate push of rainbow imagery this week with Pride Week, we did a little bit of exploration. And there's always some interesting stuff that pops up when you look into the roots of a lot of these movements that are getting pushed on us, right? I mean, the mainstream media is always telling us about certain revolutionary movements, whatever the flavor of the moment is, whatever the flavor of the moment is, the mainstream media seems to be right on top of it, pushing the agenda. So we've got rainbows everywhere. We've got the big banks, big foundations pushing for rights, human rights, animal rights, democracy. Right? It's an interesting time to be alive, especially with the internet, especially with all these revolutionary movements kind of coalescing into this huge multi-headed hydra right before our very eyes. And let me see here. I've got let me make sure. Today we're going to talk about all sorts of fun stuff today. You guys like that cover image? We've got Doritos helping you to taste the rainbow. All right, so the Fortune 100, they're always jumping on board. They're always jumping on board with these with these approved revolutions and dialectics, Doritos releases rainbow-colored chips to celebrate LGBT pride. Because what better way to support the LGBT community than by giving them a bunch of trash junk food, right? I mean, these corporations act like they actually give a shit about us. They act like they give a shit about these movements, yet they're just pushing toxic corporate poison on us. Pretty ridiculous. We got Doritos Rainbows. People says celebrate Pride Month all month long with these rainbow foods from across the country, like ice cream bars. We got Magnum ice cream bars. We've got Baked by Melissa cupcakes. Luxor is serving multicolored pancakes. All right, so you throw some food coloring on some junk food, and it's somehow a revolutionary act. It's somehow this amazing revolutionary act to sell people shit junk food. Check out, we got Miley Cyrus. Thank you, Doritos, for such a radical statement of support. Hashtag LGBT. At Hippie. Happy Hippie Foundation. I guess that's maybe a foundation that she's involved in. But, I mean, who out there really believes that these huge corporations, that these big banks actually give a shit about LGBT rights? I, for one, am not buying it. Okay, so let me... It's funny, we're told about eating multicolored foods. We're told that we've got to eat a varied diet, a plant-based diet, right? Taste the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. Healthy foods come in all different colors, right? You got to have a little bit of orange on your plate, a little bit of red on your plate, whole bunch of greens on the plate. I mean, come on. The madness that gets pushed with this this global technocracy diet is pretty blatant this week, isn't it, guys? Look at this. Doritos is just all about supporting the LGBT community by giving them toxic food color drenched poison chips. Come on. Come on. That's so the big Fortune 100 companies, they're loving this. They're loving this. Right? Don't bother looking deeper into the roots of these movements. Don't bother looking deeper into the ideologies behind how these things work. The ideologies behind the people behind the big foundations that push this crap. Just buy into your identity. Buy into your corporate identity. Stoli vodka. Standing up for love. Right? Buy a bunch of vodka. Go get drunk. Don't have families. Don't have children. But buy these amazing products. Buy these delicious Stoli vodka, colored vodka bottles. Buy these cupcakes. Buy these Doritos Rainbows. Check out what Skittles did, though. Skittles kind of dropped the bomb a few years ago. Skittles, in the Pride edition, they made their Skittles all white. For the white Pride Skittles, I guess. I don't know. I guess some people were upset. But Skittles is making up for it this year, guys. Check it out. Skittles Canada celebrates Pride 2019 by partnering with actor and performer Shangela to host weddings of LGBTQ2+ couples. It's Skittles Hall of Rainbows. So, I mean, at least we get this. At least Skittles really cares. Hosting weddings for LGBTQ2+. What's the 2 for? I don't know. As a trans vegan, though, I gotta say, I've experienced nothing but transphobia from the vegan community ever since I came out. Realizing that I was trans vegan, realizing that I'm vegan on the inside, right? I want to minimize the suffering of animals. I want to minimize the destruction of agriculture. Realizing that I'm a vegan inside, guys. I was born this way. Realizing I'm trans vegan, I eat an all meat diet. Right? But I want all the perks of being a vegan. Hence the trans vegan label. waving that trans vegan flag. But man, I've just experienced nothing but hatred from the vegan community ever since I came out. So I don't know. Maybe YouTube can look into some of these transphobes mass reporting my videos, mass flagging my shit. All these transphobes out there hating on me because I'm a vegan who eats meat. I'm a vegan who eats all meat. You know? But it's hard being a trans vegan these days, guys. It's hard being a trans vegan these days. But let's talk about rainbow food. So it's an interesting concept, having to eat, a variety of colors of foods, that this is somehow going to give you amazing optimal nutrition. And a lot of people buy into this stuff. A lot of people buy into this line of reasoning that we need loads of variety in a healthy diet, right? A healthy diet is based around loads of fruits and vegetables, loads of different plants. And anybody who's kind of savvy to the channel here understands that we ain't buying it. We're not buying into that nonsense. Right? You don't need to taste the rainbow to be healthy. Now, you want to taste the rainbow, eat a bag of Skittles. You're not going to get healthy by eating Fruity Pebbles, by eating Skittles. You're not going to get healthy by eating a variety of as many different types of imported fruits that are drenched in pesticides. A variety of imported fruits from all over the world that take loads of resources, loads of energy to produce, loads of resources and energy to ship all around the country. This is not necessarily going to make us healthy. Why is that? Well, one of the reasons why plant foods are not exactly the greatest things to eat. One of the reasons why plant foods are not the perfect human foods, because of plant toxins. One of these plant toxins that's very prominent, that we see a lot of people chugging on a regular basis, are oxalates. So we've got Great Plains Laboratory. So Great Plains, they do their organic acid test, right? Now, Goji Man, a prominent vegan YouTuber who we had on the channel recently. Shout out to Goji Man. I absolutely disagree with the information he proposes. I absolutely disagree with the diet that he proposes. But hey, respect to him for coming on the show. Respect to him for not being transphobic, like so many of these other vegan YouTubers. Hating on your boy Primal Edge Health here. Shout out to Goji Man for coming on. But we're going to talk a little bit about oxalates right now. Oxalates, if you want to go deep on oxalate, if you want to learn about why tasting the rainbow might not be the greatest thing for the health of our bodies, check out the show that I did with Sally K. Norton. Sally K. Norton and I talked for about 2 hours about oxalates and the dangers of these foods. You chugging down these spinach smoothies. See that little picture right there? If you're watching live, if you're listening to this later. But this is a picture of an electron micrograph of the surface of a kidney stone showing tetragonal crystals of wetolite, which are calcium oxalate dihydrate. Foods like spinach and almonds, these are very, very prominent foods within, the health food circles, right? Loads of keto proponents talking about how spinach is a great source of potassium. Now, I used to believe this. I used to believe that spinach was an awesome source of potassium, that you're getting some good fiber in there, that this is going to feed your gut microbiome. Of course, I look at these things very, very differently now. I'm not buying it anymore. I'm not buying this fiber for the gut microbiome nonsense anymore. But oxalates, when you're tasting the rainbow, you're getting those green smoothies in, eating all those berries. You're getting loads of what is called oxalate in the diet. Now, calcium is in spinach. Spinach has quite a bit of calcium on paper. Unfortunately, when you actually ingest spinach, you're not going to digest most of this calcium. This calcium that you're ingesting is coming with oxalic acid. Oxalic acid will bind to calcium, creating calcium oxalate crystals. These can bioaccumulate throughout the body in many different places. Sally Norton has shown that it'll bioaccumulate in places like the eyes, scar tissue. It can disrupt gut function. It can actually bioaccumulate in our brain, in our thyroid as well. So bioaccumulating in the organs, thank you, bioaccumulating throughout our body, oxalate can cause chronic pain, chronic inflammation, and is not a part of a healthy diet. People talk about a balanced diet. They talk about eating every color of the rainbow. Right? Hey, I'm a big fan of chocolate. Every once in a while I'll have some chocolate. My kids like to eat it. But you've got to be careful with eating a lot of these very, very high oxalate foods. Now, even Great Plains, who Goji Man's selling their organic acid test, they will tell you right here, oxalate buildup, green smoothies, no, these are not health foods. All right, now Goji Man also would probably agree that oxalate smoothies, spinach smoothies are not the best idea. The problem is a lot of these proponents of the vegan diet, a lot of these apologists for this malnourishing, anti-human diet that gets pushed on us, not just through YouTubers, right? I mean, the vegan population is minuscule. It's pathetic. Right? It's less than 3% of the population of the world is actually vegan. Places like the UK, they're doing these polls, and the more they propagandize people into it, the more they show them images of these celebrities, the more they're pumping this shit out, the more people believe that, oh, I'm a vegan, I'm going to be a vegan. The more people claim they're vegan, especially in degenerate places like London, San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles. A lot of these people are totally lost, have no idea how to feed themselves, are completely disconnected from their food supply, don't understand that foods like raw milk, like liver, like grass-fed fatty beef, are actually the most nourishing, easily digestible health foods in the world. A lot of these people don't realize this, and they're easily duped into drinking those oxalate smoothies, into thinking that eating the rainbow, eating all different colors of the rainbow, is going to give you amazing health. Right? Loads of blackberries, things like cherries, all these colorful fruits loaded with what's called oxalate. It is an anti-nutrient that will bind to minerals like calcium, like potassium, like magnesium. It makes it so that these aren't even digested, whereas something like raw milk, which contains potassium and magnesium and calcium, has zero oxalate, and we can digest this. This comes with living enzymes, live bacteria that feeds our gut microbiome, no fiber at all. Right, and I'm not even a big fan of is this frozen? No. I'm not even a big fan of all this talk about diversifying your gut microbiome. Now, a lot of people, they take these probiotics off the shelf, over-the-counter probiotics, and they screw in their gut even more. Foods like apricots, red currants, figs, kiwi. When you bite into kiwi, you know that crystalline kind of taste? You know, if you eat a whole bunch of kiwi, how your mouth starts itching? It's because they're very high in oxalate. Grains, cereal, bread. The cornerstone of the Western diet. The most profitable foods, also very high in oxalate. You know what foods are not profitable to big industry? Raw milk. You know what foods are not profitable to big industry? Local grass-fed beef. You're never going to see a major push for these foods to be consumed by the masses because these are not mass-produced foods. They are mass-produced at a small scale. All right, when I say mass-produced, they're not mass-produced. I mean that these big corporations like Nestle, who's now getting into the plant-based burger business. And unfortunately, right before I started this stream, I lost all my tabs, so I had quite a few interesting articles pulled up concerning these changes in the plant-based meat market, with Nestle entering the market with, I think it's called the Amazing Burger. Nestle's Amazing Burger. It's just amazing, guys. All these foods that are being pushed on us, not what we think. At amaranth, barley, corn flour, potatoes, soybean products, sweet potatoes, wheat germ, wheat, buckwheat flour, graham crackers, pretzels, whole wheat bread. Super high oxalate foods. Beans, peanut butter, soy burgers, carob. Even one of my favorite foods, chocolate, which I make sure to limit. We make sure to limit with our kids now because they love it too. But these foods are all very high in anti-nutrients, such as oxalate. Poppy seeds are another one. So oxalate, very, very irritating to the human physiology. Has very damaging effects on human health. And not the greatest health food. So we got some super chats here. Salvador Hernandez. What's up, dude? Says, taste the rainbow, you bald, healthy son of a gun. Thank you, Salvador. That was $2. Thank you for the donation, my friend. Steve Faulkner. What's up, Steve? Says, all we need is different shades of red. There you go. Yeah, tasting my rainbow. Basically, today my foods were red, white, and yellow. Had some butter with a steak and some raw milk. And Salvador, you're right. You bald, healthy son of a gun. If I would just taste the rainbow, I wouldn't be bald. You know, look, I got to cut the hair because you can see, for those who are watching on video who are not listening on audio, I got the fuzz going today. I got to cut this short so the vegans have something to hate on, so that their bald man bad comments don't fall on deaf ears. They got to discredit me somehow. Thanks for the super chats, guys. Let's see. All right, those are the only ones right now. Back to the task at hand. So kidney stones, very, very rampant in the Western world. I remember my little brother had kidney stones when he was like 6 years old. And yeah, kidney stones are not something you would wish on your worst enemy. I mean, they're incredibly painful. Definitely not something that you want to experience. Kidney stones are not something anybody wants to go through. And these foods that we're being recommended when we're told to taste the rainbow, to eat a variety of different colored foods, brightly colored fruits and vegetables, greens, yellows, reds, full of anti-nutrients. I'm not saying all plants are bad, right? But there are certain plants that we should probably avoid, like very high lectin foods, such as these foods that are promoted like bell peppers, right? Bell peppers, tomatoes, peppers. Also very high in lectins. These are proteins that the body actually has very, very hard time digesting. The immune system can flag these. It can actually result in autoimmune responses. So spinach, rhubarb, almonds, cashews, potatoes, okra, French fries, raspberry, even stevia. Very, very high in oxalate. Now, stevia might not be something everyone needs to worry about because you're eating such small amounts of it. So, yeah. But the sweet potatoes, right? Hey, our kids like sweet potatoes. We limit these things, though. Every once in a while, they have some potatoes. We don't really keep these foods around the house. If they want fruits, we give them low oxalate fruits. Fruits like, what are some good low oxalate fruits that the kids like?
Papaya.
They love bananas. Bananas aren't so bad. Papaya. They're really into apples sometimes, too. So we keep those around for the kids. I don't eat much fruit. If I'm going to have carbohydrates, it's going to be from raw milk, which I'm about to have some right now. It's a great weight-gaining food. If you're undernourished, malnourished from a vegan diet, raw milk, definitely a good food for gaining weight. Of course, demonized, right? In several states in the U.S., it's even illegal. You have to buy it for pet use in certain places. In Australia, they have to buy it for baths. They can only use it for bathing. In Canada, I think it's bathing and pet use too. Crystal Rossi throwing a super chat. What's up, Crystal? Thank you for the donation. $1.99. She says, love to you and your family. That's right. We're all about eat meat, make families. Jessica's right here. She just took all the love from that super chat too. She's hogging it all to herself. So taste the rainbow, guys. I got a little bit of the rainbow between my teeth right now from a steak I had earlier. I'm gonna pop that out there. Yeah, tasting the rainbow might not be the best idea. Now, if you're going to do a mixed diet, if you're not into the idea of doing a high animal food diet, I mean, my diet is basically all animal foods. If you're not into the idea of doing a ketogenic diet and you're still including carbohydrates, look, just make sure those carbs you're eating aren't crazy loaded with oxalate. You start looking into the anti-nutrient issues, and you might find that there aren't as many benefits as we're told to a lot of these plant-based foods. Whereas animal foods contain no anti-nutrients, contain all the essential amino acids and fatty acids that we require, contain all the essential fat-soluble vitamins, which you can't get from any of these plant foods. And they contain those in the most easily digestible, bioavailable form. Animal foods fortunately give us everything we need. There is no dietary requirement for carbohydrate. There is no dietary requirement for plant foods. And this push for plant-based nutrition has been around for a while. These ideas have been floating around in the noosphere, some of these New Agers call it. I think that was Teilhard de Chardin that came up with that term. But these have been floating around in the sphere of human thought for a while. The idea of feeding people a plant-based diet. First of all, it's highly profitable, right? That's number one. That's why you're seeing this being pushed. Second of all, it ties into a lot of these bigger agenda things like eugenics, like selective breeding of populations. All right, we're being told that the world is overpopulated, that there's too many dang people, that meat, and human babies are destroying the planet, that your exhalations and the cow farts are just ruining the world. And a lot of people buy into it. A lot of people buy into the idea that a plant-based diet is the most sustainable way to go about it. Of course, we've talked a lot about the sustainability issue, and this is absolutely untrue. A plant-based diet is not the most sustainable diet. A plant-based diet is not sustainable whatsoever. And we see this on YouTube. No one can maintain or sustain a plant-based diet and maintain vitality and health. There are very few people who are able to go more than a few years on a plant-based diet without their health falling apart. Right? There are some guys who've been seemingly doing well longer term. John Venus, who made his gains before going vegan. He seems to be doing all right on a plant-based diet. We'll see how that goes. I wish him the best. I believe it's absolutely criminal that these people are feeding their kids vegan diet. And I really hope he's at least giving his kids some egg yolks and some fish. Right? Because we got people out there malnourishing children with these things. So the ideological push for veganism, the roots of this go way, way back. All right, you read books by some of these generational planners, families like the Darwin family. Charles Galton Darwin wrote a book called The Next Million Years. Charles Galton Darwin, he used to kick it with guys like Aldous Huxley and Julian Huxley, other highly influential eugenics families who believed in the idea of taking control of natural selection and becoming gods. Right? So Charles Galton Darwin wrote this book, The Next Million Years, where he says he's predicting the future of a million years down the line. And in this book, he expresses the crucial nature of the food supply as a tool for population control and for control of breeding and for control of society in general. The most likely cause of another revolution would be the discovery of some new large source of human food. It might be found possible to synthesize food from its chemical elements, or it might, for example, be found possible to turn grass or wood into a satisfactory human diet. How fitting, because we've got Beyond Burgers who are literally feeding you wood, cellulose, bamboo cellulose. They're feeding you fucking wood chips. They're fake burgers. That has no fat-soluble vitamins, that has nothing in it that your body actually will thrive on, right? That has nothing but fully processed, highly refined junk food ingredients in it, like pea protein isolate. Pea protein isolate. I would rather drink my pea than have pea protein isolate. But here it is from 1952. This book was published, I believe. Let me see here. It's a pretty old book. Copyright 1952. Now, I'm not sure if this printing was... I don't think this maybe have been printed in 1952. I really like old books. Old books are great. I mean, it's a shame that the contents of this book are such gobbledygook and gibberish. But he talks about the importance of feeding the population. And we might be able to turn grass or wood into a satisfactory human diet one day, he says. How great would that be? If we could just feed the masses grass and wood. It's insane. This would constitute a new revolution, the second scientific revolution. The new food supplies would induce an enormous increase in population, and once the practice had become widespread, there could be no drawing back. So it's always the population problem. Oh no, the population's going to grow because we're going to give them a bunch of wood chips. Could there be any discovery in the arts as opposed to the sciences that might lead to a revolution? There will undoubtedly be many new and exciting discoveries in the arts, many new schools of painting, music, and literature. These people understand the importance of the arts, right? Having Jay-Z and Beyonce out there telling you what to eat. Having Leonardo DiCaprio telling you, invest in the Beyond Burger, like he did. Because a plant-based diet is the future. Plant-based is the future. So Charles Galton Darwin again talks about on page 24 of his book, The Next Million Years. Says, there remains for him one condition that he still shares with the rest of the animal kingdom, is a perpetual menace to his life, and this is the need of food. Here again there arises the competition for limited supplies, whether it is a competition between man and man or between nation and nation. And for humanity, this competition assumes far greater importance than it does for any of the animals, just because, unlike them, he has succeeded in overcoming so many of his other enemies. It's a pretty funny worldview that this guy's coming from. So Charles Galton Darwin, the grandson of Charles Darwin, who wrote The Origin of the Species and the Favored Races, which is a racist ideology meant to perpetuate the idea that, of course, his family and their selectively bred kin are superior. He says it's this competition that will determine the detail of history, in the sense that it will determine which men and which races will survive. But deeper than this, there lies the question of how the survivors are to keep alive, and the final controlling condition of this is their supply of food. It is food that in the end determines the population of the world. And this lines up with what Kissinger said. Henry Kissinger, genocidal mass murderer, said that control oil, you control nations. Control food, you control the people. So the control of food is very, very important in this whole brave new world that's being brought in. And of course, the demonization of animal foods will make us dependent on these processed junk foods. Now, we are not here to promote any of these processed shit junk foods. We're here to promote family. We're here to promote reality. We're here to promote the truth. And we're here to tell you not to sterilize yourself in the name of enlightenment, but to eat meat and make families. Seeking Truth in Christ sends $5. Thank you so much, man. Keeping the chat flowing, says modern foods and hygienic products are overflowing with endocrine disruptors like atrazine, phthalates, parabens, and xenoestrogen. God warned us all, he says. Yeah, interesting, right? So, I mean, all these foods that we're told to eat, this plastic-wrapped crap, highly processed junk food, degenerates our cultures, degenerates our bodies. And these degenerate people who are pushing it are all coming from a degenerate worldview, of course, believing in macroevolution, the evolution, the transmutation of species. You were just monkeys. We can just evolve into eating grass and eating bamboo, right? Why can't we just evolve into being herbivores in their worldview? Absolute nonsense. Terrence Leonard, what's up, dude? Throwing $5. Says, keep fighting the good fight. Thank you. Nothing is free. Yeah, exactly. Ain't nothing free, right? Nothing is free. Everything comes at a cost, including these junk foods that are being processed out of plants, right? The cellulose-based foods that you're being sold on, they come at a cost. Shit ain't free. They're talking about doing this for environmentalism. They're going to save the world. Leo DiCaprio is going to save the planet. He's got a private island, by the way, that he gets drunk and does coke with supermodels on. While all you plebs get to eat these plant-based burgers. He's not even a vegan himself, but he says, stop eating meat. Franklin Chan, what's up, dude? Thanks for the donation, man. $9.99 says, thanks for all your work, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support. Appreciate all the support from everybody who shows up here. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. So yeah, well said, man. Nothing's free. No free rides. And these plant-based diets that we're being sold on, they come at a price. And the price is our health. The price is the health of our communities. The price is the knowledge that we give up of how to actually feed ourselves. How to actually feed ourselves. How to actually nourish our bodies. And the crux of the human diet, the crux of a healthy human diet, in the reality we live in now, not some fake futurist reality, not some transhumanist future where we're all just uploaded our consciousness into a fake reality, into VR, and all these lies that we get sold. Not in the fake reality built on a foundation of sand, but in the real reality we live in now. We got to eat animals. In order to maintain health, in order to maintain our bodies, we've got to eat animals. A lot of the plant foods that we're being sold on have been degraded greatly by the people that are selling them to us, right? These genetically modified, patented seeds that they're trying to push on us, they're highly profitable. They're super profitable. But they're dangerous for our health, right? They're all drenched in glyphosate, which wrecks our gut microbiome. Got some super chats here. Ashley McQuarrie, thank you so much. She says, I love the book. I found multiple recipes I use weekly. Grateful for you and your wife. Sending well wishes from Kansas. Thank you so much, Ashley. Really appreciate the donation. Much appreciated, Ashley. Let's see. Got another one here. Seeking Truth in Christ says, look into Dr. Kent Hovenid. He debunks evolution. Well, evolution debunks itself. And the whole, it's absolutely unscientific as a worldview, but we're not going to get too deep into that today. Another really good refutation of evolution, the book by Father Seraphim Rose, Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. The whole second half of that book is just ripping apart evolution. And it's a long book. It's like 700, 800 pages. Here, I got it right here. I'll grab it. It's a big book, but he does a very good job at destroying evolution. So this chapter 2, which is on page 500, so the first chapter is 500 pages. The second half of this is the critique on the evolutionary model, and he does a really good job. Actually, no, much of this is critique of evolution. So he does a great job in this book, Genesis, Creation, and Early Man. If you're interested in learning a little bit about the Orthodox perspective on creation, early man. Really, really good book. All right, we'll come back here. Not seeing any more of these super chats. Thanks for the donations, guys. Always appreciate the super chats. When these videos get demonetized, it definitely helps. It definitely helps. So, comes at a cost. Tasting the rainbow comes at a cost. And isn't it funny that the rainbow originally is a symbol of God's covenant with man? God's promise to man that he would not destroy the world by flood again. And now the rainbow is being used quite differently, isn't it? It's being used to sell us on something else. And these Fortune 100 companies that are pushing it are duping the people on the ground, just like the vegan movement, just like the Fortune 100 companies dupe the vegans. They're also duping the LGBTQ community by throwing up these rainbow flags everywhere, telling them that the big banks love them as they're feeding them a diet that sterilizes them, as they're promoting a medical establishment that is not looking after their health, but is rather a disease management establishment. And that brings us to our next topic. We're going to talk a little bit about transhumanism and the transhumanist connection to the vegan diet. How veganism has its roots in transhumanism, and how transhumanism will ultimately try to leverage these useful idiot vegans to push the further dehumanization of the human race, and the destruction of our cultures, and the destruction of the very fabric of our reality, if people let this go far enough. So transhumanism is a movement that is gaining a lot of steam. Here's SingularityWeblog.com. 6 reasons why I went vegan. For the planet, for the animals, for us, so that the AIs have a good precedent of treating lesser intelligences. All right, so these people believe that they're going to make great intelligent AIs that are more intelligent than humans, even though they're made by humans. All right, they're programming these AIs and they're attributing to them spiritual power. They're attributing to them godlike power. And, of course, this whole AI agenda, ultimately, these people want us to worship AI. And a lot of people are already there. A lot of people already basically worship technology and are ready to, put a chip in their brain and augment their reality and basically make themselves into a product, a consumer product. Turn human beings into a consumer product. Had a super chat from Crystal Rossi, totally off topic, but let me answer this real quick. Thoughts on Fukushima and eating fish? Look, I'm not an expert on this, on the Fukushima fish issue, but I think it would be really interesting to look at Japan, the fish-eating populations of Japan, and see how they're doing. I don't know how much of this is fear-mongering, how much of this is legitimate concern as far as eating fish from the Pacific Ocean, especially in the northern hemisphere. I don't know, but I'll tell you this. I'm not afraid of fish. I like me some swordfish. We live here on the coast, or not on the coast. We live about 4 hours from the coast, but we live in South America, right on the equator, and I'm not tripping out about it too much. Of course, if you live in Fukushima, could be an issue. But, I mean, if you're in California, should you avoid seafood and fish? You're going to have to look deeper into that and make up your own mind. Personally, I like me some fish. I like me some swordfish. All right, so let's get back to transhumanism for us, so that the AIs have a good precedent of treating lesser intelligences. Under our current paradigm, humanity considers itself entitled to kill any less intelligent species for food, pleasure, and entertainment, which is absolutely untrue. It's not acceptable to kill things for pleasure and entertainment. Right? We do have to eat these animals for food. Unfortunately, death is a reality here. Now, depending on your worldview, you may or may not believe that death is natural. Right? Like if you're in the evolutionary worldview, then you believe that death is natural. And with a lot of these singularity type people, a lot of these transhumanists, they believe that death is a natural thing. And they also believe in taking control of death. And they believe that through their intellect, through their intelligence, and this Luciferian worldview, that they're going to rise up above the limitations of our biology and conquer death, ultimately, in this inverted theology. Whereas instead of conquering death through faith, through connection to God, the truth, right? Instead of Jesus conquering death through the resurrection, they're going to conquer death through creating an AI system, merging with the AI, and uploading their consciousness, which they can't even define, and they can't even define it in their worldview. They have no idea what consciousness is, but they're going to upload it into computers, and they're going to be one with the machines. They're going to live forever. It's insanity. So the transhumanist movement. I'm going to talk a little bit about this, how this all connects to veganism and to diet. And this is a very important conversation. Should we be treated the same way as we treat others right now? I believe that if we want to be treated with respect and dignity by higher intelligences, be it AIs or aliens from space. So here's the new theology, right? Oh, we don't believe in a creator. We don't believe in creation. But we believe in like panspermia and AI. Like maybe we were made by some alien panspermia AI program from Alpha Centauri or like Sirius, man, and these aliens from Sirius, they're beaming AI like through the stars, dude. And the vibration of the stars is like this artificial intelligence matrix that permeates the whole universe and tells us how to evolve, dude. What if that's what's going on? It's like these ridiculous theological just total sci-fi madness. AI, aliens from space. If we want to be treated well by AI and aliens from space, we got to stop eating animals, right? Kindness, dignity for animals. Very, very interesting. All right, so one of the main proponents of transhumanism, one of the major transhumanists out there is a guy called David Pierce. David Pierce. Let's see, how many? Wow, he's got 107,000 followers. And he's following 108,000 people. I guess he follows back everyone that follows him. That's crazy. How can you follow 108,000 people on Twitter? I mean, he must be far ahead of us. He's already merged with the machines, guys. David Pierce has transcended humanity. He follows 108,000 people on Twitter. He says, transhumanism, we can't end death if we kill billions of horribly abused sentient beings in slaughterhouses. Civilization will be vegan. Civilization will be vegan. He's going to end death, guys. These people are going to end death altogether. And this is the same sentiment that goes into this vegan movement. Why do people want to end death? Well, I mean, the answer to that would probably depend on what you believe death is and if you think it's natural or not. If you think death is just a natural thing, it just arose in the natural order of things, or if you believe that the natural world is a product of evolution, if it's a product of natural selection, and that we, through our intellect, can actually control the environment and the environmental stimulus that will select for genes, then we can take control of natural selection, then maybe you'd be open to the idea of we're going to take control of death. I mean, a lot of these people, these futurists, talk about actually institutionalizing death. Right? Like in Logan's Run, like you turn 33 years old and you got to do carousel. To prevent overpopulation, of course. It's for the greater good. Antonio McCaskill, thanks a lot for the donation, man. Just sending $2. He didn't say anything. I didn't see anything attached to that super chat, but thanks for the donation, man. We appreciate it. So death. We're going to conquer death. David Pierce, transhumanist philosopher guy. David Pierce has been around for a little while. He's the co-founder of the World Transhumanist Association. And then he rebranded this as Humanity Plus, Inc. And he's a prominent figure in that transhumanist movement. He's from Brighton, England. He's got a very, very interesting past. Very, very interesting body of work. He wrote a book called The Hedonistic Imperative. So fitting for this age, right? Hedonistic Imperative. So he co-founded the World Transhumanist Association, known from 2008 as Humanity Plus, with Nick Bostrom, now the director of the Future of Humanity Institute at the University of Oxford. And we're going full circle here. We're back to Oxford. We're back to the Royal Society, where guys like, of course, Charles Galton Darwin, where people like Bertrand Russell have been proposing population control measures and promoting this transhumanist idea and the idea of a global integrated society, a monoculture worldwide, where everything is under total control by the intellectual scientific elite, which these people believe they are. So yeah, Pierce is a fellow of the Institute for Ethics and Emerging Technologies and sits at the Futurist Advisory Board of the Lifeboat Foundation. So these people, they start all these nonprofits, these think tanks, and they're always tied in with the education system, groups like the UN. Look, Vanity Fair promotes him, BBC4. He's a big guy. So what is Humanity Plus? What is Humanity Plus? Humanity Plus is an international nonprofit membership organization which advocates the ethical use of technology to expand human capacities. In other words, we want people to be better than well. It's all about that well-being, guys. Where does Humanity Plus advocate the ethical use of technology? What are the human capacities to be expanded? How does Humanity Plus foster people being better than well? The following is written by Natasha Vita Moore. So they're talking about biotech, genetic engineering, transgenesis. Transgenesis, mixing us with other organisms, right? Let's just put some grass DNA in these people. Let's see what happens there. All right, so you got stuff like talking about quantified self. They tie this in with wellness diets, right? Paleo, Atkins, vegetarian, vegan. This is why terms like biohacking. That's why biohacking is being promoted. Terms like biohacking, ideas like transcending our humanity. And becoming more than just human. So yeah, David Pierce, interesting guy. Towards a triple S civilization of super longevity, super intelligence, and super happiness. Interviewed by Maitreya 1. It's funny that Maitreya 1, because Maitreya, this ties in with this whole UN global religion thing, which is very interesting. I'm not going to get into that right now, but if you look into the Maitreya movement, Benjamin Creme, and the UN pushing this idea, it kind of comes out of theosophy. Is very, very interesting. What is the abolitionist project? Mastery of our genetic source code promises the technical tools to abolish all experience below hedonic zero, from the mildest of pinpricks to the worst extremes of depression, agony, and despair. Perhaps abolitionist project is too grand a term. Sadly, no coordinated international effort currently exists to rewrite our DNA to abolish suffering. Incremental progress is a more sociologically credible scenario for phasing out the biology of suffering than the UN-sponsored international effort that I'd love to see launched. A 100-year plan genetically to abolish any type of involuntary unpleasant experience. How do you define unpleasant experience? How do you define happiness? So this is the funny thing. Like, these people, they're always talking about things like happiness and well-being, but they can't even define this. So he's talking about ending all suffering. This guy wants to end all suffering, not just in human beings, but across the entire animal kingdom. He wants to reformat all biology. He wants to take control of biology itself and abolish all suffering and all death. Do you understand what these people are doing? This means that this guy wants to destroy all of reality as you know it. He wants to upload this into a AI supercomputer, and he thinks that this is going to end all suffering. It's pretty nuts, right? So here he is talking about giving up eating meat. Transhumanist philosopher David Pierce, give up eating meat. Let's hear what he has to say here.
But I think from humble beginnings we get to great ends. So the beginning is not important. The journey is, and how far we're willing to take it, right?
Yes, I'm inclined to think so. Perhaps just I would add too that although I happen to be utilitarian, it's possible to favour phasing out the biology of suffering regardless of whether you're any kind of utilitarian. You could be a deontologist, a pluralist, a Christian. All it takes, I think, is this very minimal ethical commitment to phase out involuntary suffering. So no one need feel they need to sign up to utilitarian ethics to support the abolitionist project.
But why did you pick utilitarianism as your favorite flavor of philosophy? What was it that attracted you? What was it for you?
Utilitarianism, which is basically grounded in nothing. Right? Just you can justify anything in utilitarian philosophy. Nutty. So did you catch that? He said he wanted to phase out the biology of suffering. Which is funny because, like, in the Buddhist world, life is suffering. In the materialist world, life is biology. A lot of these materialists are also into Buddhist philosophy. Kind of interesting. So if life is suffering, and you want to end all suffering and phase out the biology of suffering, and this guy's a materialist, he wants to get rid of everything. This is the singularity talk, all this talk about transhumanism, singularity, it really does. It gets pretty delusional, pretty nutty, and pretty insane really quickly.
That grabbed you, inspired you, perhaps?
think it's the combination of compassion and rationality, what would now be called rational altruism. Clearly, my own suffering and the suffering of those I loved and care about loomed large in my life, but I also took very seriously from science the so-called view from nowhere, the idea that it is completely an illusion that one is the center of the universe, and if my suffering is bad for me, I infer that suffering anywhere for anyone is bad. And yes, utilitarianism in that sense is systematized compassion.
Mm-hmm. And where does veganism fit into the picture, and how?
It's back to the rationality again. It's very natural to contrast humans and non-human animals in the way it was once very natural to contrast white Christian gentlemen with primitive savages. But all the evidence, convergence of evidence from neuroscience, evolutionary biology, neurophysiology, suggests that non-human animals, the ones, pigs and so on, are as sentient and as sapient as pre-linguistic toddlers. And
But not fetuses, though, right? Those aren't even human. They ain't shit. This is crazy. Now, did you catch? And there's so much subtle manipulation in this dialogue that it's pretty interesting. So he wants to end all suffering. Why should we assume that suffering is bad, right? It's like if I go and I go do some hill sprints, I go do an intense workout, that's suffering. That'd be suffering. Intentionally, because I would know that would result in better health and an improvement in like physique, an improvement in biomarkers, right? You exercise and you suffer a little bit in that. When you do something difficult, is that suffering? Like what is suffering? Is suffering just any time we have to exert ourselves or use our will? Is suffering physical pain? You're going to abolish deadlifts? It's so ridiculous. And then to say that, oh, well, animals are just as capable of suffering as human beings. And what type of suffering? Physical suffering? If you're coming from a materialist worldview, I guess all you believe is that there's physical matter. You just believe in physical suffering. It's pretty interesting.
We treat non-human animals in the way that if a human were to treat a pre-linguistic toddler in the way we treat pigs, for instance, that the perpetrator would be locked up for life. And it is, in that sense, I won't argue here for anyone who says, let's say, a moral anti-realist who says there's nothing wrong with abusing or killing toddlers. But assuming we take that as read, that it is profoundly abhorrent to harm human toddlers, I would say it is profoundly abhorrent to harm non-human animals. Instead of...
Of course, these people can't justify why. Obviously, it's bad to inflict unnecessary suffering on people. Obviously, we don't want to torture creatures. But he can't ground his moral and ethical claims within his worldview. In his worldview, in this materialist worldview that he's coming from, there really is no right and wrong. He obsesses with suffering. Like these people obsessed with suffering for some reason. They have no meaning. They give no meaning to anything. There's no meaning to their life, to the greater cosmos. There's no meaning to the suffering. And it's such a silly theology where suffering has no meaning. Suffering is just something to be abolished just because it doesn't feel good, just because I don't like it. What about these like sadomasochist people who enjoy suffering? Right? What about these people who feed off of human suffering? And they would feel like they suffered if they weren't allowed to feed off of human suffering, right? I mean, it's just, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But, yeah, so a transhumanist philosopher, David Pierce, says we should give up meat.
Harming them and exploiting them, we should be thinking of ways to help and look after them.
So, at what point in your life did you start thinking about becoming a vegan, and why? Was there a particular event that triggered that line of thinking?
Well, actually, I'm a third generation vegetarian. Grandparents on both sides were vegetarian, which is
Wow.
probably unique to the.
And it really shows, right? It really shows in your level of analysis and intellect. And that shit-eating grin, too. You look like a third-gen vegetarian.
The West, but this is an accident of birth rather than the signature of great virtue on my part. But yes, clearly that background, my parents were Christians, I should add, must have contributed to my early development. One of my earliest memories was trying to rescue little ants that cruel small boys had trodden on. That must have been about the age of 4 or 5. So, yes, I said it's very difficult, clearly, to understand fully one's own intellectual antecedents, but that clearly was a contributing factor.
Mm-hmm. So, you've been a vegan since birth?
Oh, no, I was a vegetarian since birth, vegan much more recently, about 7 or 8 years ago.
So, you've never had meat in your life?
No, I would not recognize the taste of meat, no.
Wow, that's absolutely amazing. So now you were talking about the fact that pre-linguistic toddlers probably exhibit the same level of sentience such as, say, adult pigs. Uh,
There you go. You're just pigs. Your toddler is the same as a pig. It all goes back to this dehumanization agenda. All right, check it out. Check out Vice. The bastions of degeneracy. The next step for veganism is ditching our bodies and digitizing our minds. In the future, there will be no eating, drinking, or defecation, right? Because those things are so hard. It's so hard to drink. It'd just be so lit if we didn't have to drink or poop or move. We just lay there and just just veg out and just be in VR porn and just be all opioided out in VR porn and just have an IV drip of Beyond Meat. Aw, dude, that'd be so lit and so dope, dude. In the future, there will be no eating, drinking, or defecation. 144 million. That's roughly the number of land animals killed every day to produce meat, dairy, and eggs for human consumption. It's a staggering, horrific number. It's also a number that means billions of more animals are constantly enslaved. How about all the animals eating each other in nature? How about it's this focus. I don't know, the way that they zoom in on these propagandistic stats is very, very interesting, right? So they're mentioning the Animal Liberation Front. The Animal Liberation Front. How interesting. We wanted them to live in fear. Animal rights activist admits to university bombing 25 years later. The Animal Liberation Front claimed responsibility for this bombing. And here we've got Vice promoting these terrorists. In the Humane Society. The problem is, despite veganism catching on worldwide, the slaughter of more and more animals is inevitable because the expanding world population, of course, too many people. Too many people. The answer is bewildering. It probably won't be satisfying to plant-loving people. The answer is transhumanism. Oh, the new savior, the false messiah, transhumanism. The movement that aims to replace human biology with synthetic and machine parts. You see, the most important goal of transhumanism is to try to overcome death with science and technology. Most cellular degeneration, otherwise known as aging and sickness, comes from failing cells. That failure is at least partially caused by the daily act of eating and drinking and putting foreign objects into our bodies, which cells have to consume or discard to try to create energy. Paradoxically, it's stressful and hard work for cells to endlessly do this just to live. Life is so hard. Oh, life is just so hard, dude. We gotta, like, eat food. Dude, how am I gonna eat food? I gotta, like, get a job? Dude, I don't wanna work. I have to, like, get up, go to work. Ugh, fuck, dude. I just wanna chill, man. I just wanna play Xbox, go on Pornhub, smoke some balls, dude. I don't wanna go to work and eat and, like, poop and stuff. That stuff sucks. Thank you so much, Vice. This is so enlightening. Paradoxically, it's stressful and hard work for cells to endlessly do this just to live. A simple way to eliminate this Sisyphean task, all the steaks, chocolate donut, bacon, breakfast, and even my favorite scotch, is to get rid of human reliance on food and drink entirely. Transhumanists like myself want to get rid of it all. We want to strip you of your stomach, your guts, and even your anus and replace it with machine parts and bionics. In the future, there will be no eating, drinking, or defecation. The obvious question, where will we get energy from if we don't eat? Well, the answer, dummies, you're all going to be fucking dead. You're going to be dead. Oh, no, we're going to upload your consciousness, man. We'll upload your consciousness into this robot. Look, check it out. This robot is your uncle. Can't you see it? Like, it's got a little voice simulator. It looks just like him, sounds just like him in the VR world. How nonsense is this? How crazy is this? To begin with, we need a lot less energy to live, since eating, food gathering, and meal preparation take a lot of energy too, even if it's just driving to Taco Bell, Denny's, or visiting the salad bar at Whole Foods. How we get energy really depends on what humans evolve into over the next season. It's like, ooh, we're going to evolve. We're going to evolve. Evolution. If we say it enough, you'll believe it. Evolution. We evolve. We're always evolving. Don't you want to evolve? Are you anti-science? A lot of that depends on how artificial intelligence unfolds. You see how they always promote this? It depends on what humans evolve into over the next 25 to 50 years, and a lot of that depends on how AI unfolds. They've already set up in the worldview of the dumbass readers who buy into Vice, who are stoned enough to think that this shit is legit, to buy into this crap. They tell them that AI controls evolution. Whoa, guys. Oh, we're so smart. We're like the peak of evolution, dude. We're so fucking smart. Look at our iPhones, dude. We evolved into making these amazing things, dude. AI is going to, like, change it all, dude. I already have friends planning in the next 12 months to implant chips onto their brains so they can commune telepathically with machines. And with experts like scientist Ben Goertzel. Remember Ben Goertzel, guys? On Joe Rogan, he said, it's all just molecules that we can rearrange, man. It's all just arrangements of molecules. That's what everything is, dude. Who cares if we kill everybody and destroy everything and rearrange all the molecules? And with experts like scientists, right? He must know what he's talking about. He's a scientist. Ben Goertzel predicting a machine consciousness being here in as little as 15 to 20 years. There's a possibility we'll be going Matrix mode shortly after. Sick, dude. I want slow-mo. Give me slow-mo mods, bro. An uploaded mind will only need electricity, which can easily be made from wind, the sun, or a hydropower, not plants, animal meat, or even Red Bull. They're literally selling you on death. They want to sell you a future where you willingly kill yourself. This is what these people are trying to set up. You don't believe me? Look deeper into it. They're setting up a reality where people will willingly kill themselves to upload their mind into a machine. You know what they mean by upload your mind? They mean they're going to try to map your brain. And we're going to map your brain. We're going to map all of your thoughts and your consciousness with algorithms. And we're going to make predictive programs that will predict what you would do. And we're going to upload you into the computer and you're going to live forever, dude. You don't have to poop or feel pain. You can live in Pornhub forever. You can live in Halo forever, dude. It's going to be so sick, bro. But wild transhumanist ambitions aside, my guess is most people won't be ready to upload their minds into machines for at least another few decades. Aw, pussies. So boring. Aw, you pussies don't want to upload your mind into machines and just kill your body so you can live forever, dude. The AI is your god. However, with CRISPR gene editing tech, there are already DIY biohackers. There's that word again. Trying to splice plant DNA into their bodies so they can photosynthesize energy from the sun. Ooh, dude. Of course, whoever figures this out will surely win the Nobel Prize. Too bad they're never going to... They're selling you on so many lies. This is just lie after lie after lie. You're gonna get plant DNA. You're gonna be able to transmute the solar energy into the cosmic energy in your body. It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna save over 8,000 kids that die globally from starvation or malnutrition every day. We're gonna save the kids by genetically modifying them, guys. It's amazing. Let me see. Come over to the chat. Not seeing any super chats here. What's up? You guys don't like this transhumanist talk? Let's see. We only got 160 people watching now. What's going on here? What's going on here? Where's all the viewers? You guys getting notified? Or y'all just sick of me? You don't like us anymore? What's up with this? Where's my 300 viewers? 160? Who's not getting notified? Algorithm no like me. All right. So, my guess is that scientists will figure out some form of combining photosynthesis with human biology within a decade. Within 2 decades, it will be something pragmatic that can supplement our food intake. A so-called free lunch by just hanging out in the sun. Despite these 2 decent options, my money's on the third option, the brain implant that tells us we're satiated, even when our bodies are calorie restricted and yearning for food. Yeah, dude. I want a brain chip that makes it to when I'm starving, it feels like I'm busting a nut. I want to be starving to death and just feel so stoned, dude. It's going to be I'm just going to be so ripped while I'm starving. I'm just going to be like pushing the like dopamine button. It's like bzz, bzz, and just be like opium, Pornhub, opium, Pornhub, opium, Pornhub. It's going to be so lit. I'll be starving, but it's sick, dude. I'll feel no pain. It's going to be fucking rad, brah. Some studies suggest that maximum human longevity is best accomplished by minorly starving ourselves. If this is correct, If this is correct, look at you hearing this? Starving ourselves makes us live forever. Some studies suggest that maximum human longevity is best accomplished through minorly starving ourselves. If this is correct, it might be the best of both worlds, where humans eat dramatically less, but always feel like their tummies are full because an implant stimulating our brain makes us feel it. If we take this one step further, maybe we can have our implants make us feel like we just had a huge steak dinner, all the while knowing that cows haven't been eaten or cruelly slaughtered. Even better, you know how we could solve the overpopulation problem? You know how we could solve all the problems of death and everything? Check it out, guys. Overpopulation solved right here with transhumanism. Brain chips. Make us feel not hungry while we're starving, but also they have a mode where it can make us think that we're eating beef, but we're really eating grandma and grandpa. How sick would that be, dude? Come on, all these old people are so not lit. Like, we don't want, like, not lit people in the future, dude. Let's just give ourselves brain chips, and, like, we put the chip in our brain or whatever, dude. And, like, the brain chip will make us think that we're eating, like, normal food, but really we're, like, eating people, dude. That would solve overpopulation. And that would help get rid of all these human biological bodies. And it's not like we won't be really killing grandma and grandpa. They're going to be uploaded into the cloud. So like they're going to live forever. So they get eternal life in Google and we get to eat food while solving depopulation, and we'll be high as shit, dog. That'll be so lit. Yeah, dude. Oh, I'm so glad I read that Vice article 20 years ago before I got my brain chip. That shit is sick, dude. This is so crazy. As a U.S. presidential candidate, the reason I'm writing about veganism is I think it's a great movement. And there's a hashtag vegan chalk challenge catching on right now that is fun. And I saw in my hometown, Mill Valley, Chalk. My love of animals runs deep, and whenever possible, I try not to eat meat myself, mainly because I don't want to hurt animals or be responsible for their deaths. So he talks about animal rights, preservation. I want veganism to win its crusade, and in my opinion, the best way to tackle the crisis of harming animals is precisely how the driverless car manufacturers are treating one of the world's greatest problems, drunk driving. Electric car manufacturers are not asking people to drink less. They are asking them not to drive at all. So give up freedom of movement. The experts can tell us how to live, where we can go, how to drive. And in fact, the experts will just tell us not to drive. Have driverless cars. I think vegans should take a close look at transhumanism and ask if maybe in 25 years or so, billions of animals around the world will have far better and longer lives because human appetite and eating have literally disappeared. Oh, you mean because humans have literally disappeared, right? But we're all going to live forever, dude. We've got like this billion terabyte hard drive, and we're just going to put so many people, like we're going to upload all your consciousnesses in there, dude. It's going to be sick. Zoltan Istvan. So we talked about Zoltan Istvan in Boiler Room the other night when Aaron and Melissa from the great Truth Stream Media channel were there. That was a great episode. Check out the most recent Boiler Room. You can listen to that on alternatecurrentradio.com, where you're going to be able to find our podcast very soon as well. So Zoltan, this guy actually tried to run for president in 2016. This guy is a maniac. He's an absolute maniac. Transhumanism, guys. So we got David Pierce. We've got Zoltan Istvan. And they're all about veganism. They're all about the ending of all suffering and the ending of all life and the redefinition of that life. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. All right. So, let's do some announcements here. We got a little transition. Let me find my... Where'd it go? All right. So we got this huge recent wave of demonetization that's been going on all over the internet. YouTube being a major battleground right now. Right? So you never know when your favorite channel, obviously, which is Primal Edge Health, right? You never know when your favorite channel here is going to get completely removed from the internet. Right? The things we talk about are obviously not very savvy. The algorithm might not like us talking out against transhumanism, talking out against degeneracy, speaking out against this nonsense. All right, so we do see massive throttling of views. We do see massive throttling of people getting notified for this stuff. So if you want to stay notified, if you want to understand what's going on with us, if you want to keep hanging out, make sure to sign up for the newsletter. Go to primaledgehealth.com. There's a little link down below. We've got a free members area that we're setting up now. We're going to be setting up a subscription members area really soon. We're going to have lots of exclusive content that you're going to be able to get exclusively at primaledgehealth.com, where there's all sorts of other awesome stuff. So, yeah, make sure to subscribe to the newsletter or sign up for the free members area. There's going to be a lot of stuff to come. And we're really excited to bring a lot of these new things for you. So the members area, we're building. Jessica's been working her ass off on it. She's probably working on it right now. Is that what you're doing?
I'm doing podcast stuff.
You're just doing
And
podcast
Spanish
stuff in Spanish. So let me find this. The members area is going to be as the millennials say. Lit, dude. It's going to be really cool. So make sure to check out the members section. Sign up for the newsletter. We've got a free carnivore diet and shopping list and resources, which is available in the link in the description of this video. Very, very helpful if you're interested in including more animal foods in the diet, and if you're interested in starting a carnivore diet, make sure to check that out. Carnivore diet, shopping list, and resources. And of course, the carnivore cookbook is essential reading. So the carnivore cookbook's been out for, is it 2 months now? Is it even 2 months? I don't even know. Beginning of April, yeah. So it's been out for a few months now. We've had massively positive reception to it. And the Carnivore Cookbook, 0 carb recipes for people who really love animals, is available exclusively at primaledgehealth.com. Where's my copy? I got 2 copies right here. It is a beautiful book. We're really happy to finally have this available. We teach you how to make everything, basically, right? We teach you how to make everything from the perfect steak to liver. We teach you how to use the entire animal. We've got an entire section on the odd bits, on organ meats. We teach you how to use the organs. We teach you how to use the whole animal. We've even got high meat in this. We even teach you how to get involved with the ancient art of fermentation of meat, which has been done across cultures for millennia and is really, really delicious. I mean, you wouldn't think that it's so good, but yeah, no, it's full of awesome recipes, really beautiful pictures as well. Jessica did just an incredible job putting this book together. Liver top burgers, beef heart meatballs. So we teach you how to eat nose to tail, how to get the most nutrient-dense foods in your diet. And that is available only at primaledgehealth.com. Make sure to check out the Carnivore Cookbook. There's a link in the description down below if you want to support the channel. Make sure to check that out. Jessica just put up... Did you put that up in the members section?
It's in the members section.
Cool.
Yeah, it's the most recent post.
There you go. So make sure to check. We talked about oxalates today, and Jessica just informed me that we just got up our page with a high and low oxalate food list. So for people who've got autoimmune conditions, for people who are struggling with their health, you might find that the elimination of oxalates and plant toxins and planti-nutrients in plants like oxalate greatly improves your health, your well-being, and your ability to thrive in this human body, which these technocrats are trying to make obsolete. They're trying to tell us that our human bodies are obsolete. Let's just die and go upload our consciousness, which they can't define, into the cloud. We're all about teaching you how to maintain that human body, how to keep it strong. And we know that you're more than what you eat. So, check out the members section there. We've got the high and low oxalate food list available for free in there in the free members area. Pretty soon, that members area is going to be full of exclusive content. We're going to have a membership, a paid membership site really soon, and it's going to be pretty incredible. It's going to be unlike anything else you see here in the space. Primal Edge Health, always mimicked, always imitated, right? Always imitated, never duplicated here at Primal Edge Health. So, interesting thing. We're talking about the demonetization, the destruction of the internet as a place where people can freely share ideas. Who knows how long we've got on YouTube here. I have never broken the terms of service. I have never engaged in any of these things which would get somebody deplatformed, but we are regularly demonetized, and the algorithm does not like sharing our shit. And they age restrict our videos now. But check it out on here on Instagram. I got 2 notifications that said my post had been deleted. Now I couldn't find which posts were deleted, but it says we removed your post because it does not follow our community guidelines on hate speech or symbols. If you violate our guidelines again, your account may be restricted or disabled. So they said they remove posts with captions that encourage violent or attack on anyone based on who they are. They remove specific threats of physical harm, theft, or vandalism, none of which I have ever engaged in on any platform. Never promoted violence or so-called hate speech. But they have restricted, look at this, sensitive content. This is just a photo from my market. This is a photo from our market here in Ecuador. So apparently Ecuadorian culture is offensive to the technocrats at Facebook, which owns Instagram. So apparently this is offensive, right, to these racist bigots who apparently hate Ecuadorian culture. This is just a typical scene in the open air markets here, right? That's what I put in the caption. Typical scene at the open air market here in Ecuador. Grass-fed sheep heads and tripe. This is food. This is the fat of the land. Proper human nutrition. This is not of equal worth to a human child. This is not unsustainable. This is regenerative to our bodies and the soil. This is not a singing, dancing Disney character. This is not offensive. This is not unclean. This post is dedicated to the triggered yuppies who complained about the last sheep's head. Here's 2 for you. If this offends you, you are part of the problem. If this inspires you, you're a part of the solution. So, what is going on here? I don't know. So, we'll see what's going on. We'll see what's going on here. So, it's apparently offensive to put pictures of meat and pictures of food up on the internet. Interesting times. Interesting times. But, alas, let's transition. I found some funny videos we can watch. Here's... This is from a few weeks ago, April. The Veggie Pride Parade. Let's see what these lovely, enlightened folks have to say. What do you think? You think these vegans are into like the whole idea of transhumanism? You think they're into that kind of stuff? I don't know. We'll see.
Who loves animals? Who eats animals? Not me, bitch.
I rescued a senior English bulldog, and he had a little corkscrew tail, and it reminded me of a pot-bellied pig. I wouldn't eat him, so I'm not going to eat a pig. Pigs are just as smart as dogs, and they're just as loyal and loving. And that changed me. That changed everything for me.
Wow. I mean, you guys, a lot of people in the chat probably think this guy's really dumb, but I mean, I don't think he's dumb. I mean, he seems like a really intelligent, well-adjusted person. And he scored, I mean, he got 100% on his IQ test, so he's definitely not stupid. But this guy said his dog had a curly tail, and he realized that pigs are so smart, so he stopped eating animals. And he was converted, right? So he's in, what's he in, New York City? New York City. Completely disconnected from the food supply, has no idea what it takes to make his vegan protein powders, what it takes to make his Beyond Burger, how many deaths of animals are occurring from wheat, corn, and soy being produced, how many insects are being poisoned, how many small animals are being threshed up and destroyed. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's see what the next lady has to say.
That changed me. That changed everything for me.
I saw some images, animals being slaughtered. They have the right to live too. I don't want to go there anymore.
How can you have a dog and care so much about it and not care about sheep or cows or pigs?
Well, let me explain, lady. How can you have a dog and care so much about it
Cows or pigs.
and not care about sheep, cows, or pigs? Well, we have dogs. I hope they're still here. Sometimes they run away and they go kill chickens. Naughty, naughty dogs. We got to worry about them killing things like sheep, cows, and pigs. Let me explain to you, lady, how we can care for dogs but not care for cows, sheep, and pigs. We care for dogs because they guard our house. We have other animals that the dogs will also protect. So if we were to have cows and sheep and pigs, the dogs would protect the cows and sheep and pigs, and we would be feeding the dog meat from the cows, sheep, and pigs because the dogs are obligate carnivores. Much like human beings, they need meat. So we keep those dogs so that they can protect our animals from degenerate terrorists like these vegan activists out there who like to break into small family farms, steal their animals, destroy their private property, and abuse them. So that's why we take care of dogs. Dogs protect our house from invaders. My dogs will kill you if you come on my property. If you're, a criminal and you come on our property, our dogs are going to go out there, they're going to rip you up. That's why we have the dogs. We have dogs to protect animals like cows so that we can use the cows for things like raw milk because the cows just eat grass. Those cows can roam around in our yard. They can eat that grass, convert that grass into bioavailable, digestible proteins, fats, and carbohydrates in the case of milk. And they can convert that grass into edible protein and fat in the case of meat when the animal is slaughtered. That will feed our family and feed our other animals. And they're replenishing and regenerating the soil around our property so that the overall environmental effect is completely positive. That's why we keep dogs. And we treat them differently than sheep and cows. Now, dogs will cuddle up with you in bed. They'll fetch the ball for you. They'll play with your kids. They'll watch your home when you're gone. Sheep and cows just roam around and eat grass. So we treat them differently. Just like idiots who live in the city are different than people who actually do things with their life. People who live in the city like you sit there complaining about people eating animals are a very different breed of human being than the people that produce the food that you eat. I know it's really hard to wrap your head around actually producing something with your time, actually doing something that produces food. You live in New York and you have no idea where your food comes from. So there's a difference between cows, sheep, and pigs, just like there's a difference between vegan activists with man boobs in New York City and the people that actually work their ass off to make the food that you degenerates eat. So I hope that clears things up.
I grew up on a farm where we had animals. I didn't realize what was being done. Now I'm not brainwashed anymore.
I'm not brainwashed anymore. No, woman. Now you're brainwashed. Now you have no idea how to nourish yourself. If you think vegans are loud, listen to the screams in a slaughterhouse. Look at this, she's like a 16-year-old girl. I was so sad. Her fertility about to be destroyed by this ideological nonsense. This poor girl. Look, this whole thing about factory farming is so funny because these people use factory farming as a straw man. We've talked about this many times on this channel. Factory farming is a straw man that was set up by the same big industrial, big banking, global corporate interests who are now pushing for plant-based dietary guidelines. They've cut you off from your ability to grow your own food, to produce your own food off of your own land. They've crowded you into cities, and now they're moving in to further cull you. Look at that thing. It's cool. There's this little, here. Some of these things bite. You can crawl on there. There's this really cool little caterpillar here. It's got a red head. I've never seen one like this. The furry little guy. Come on, jump on the knife. I'm not torturing this animal. I'm just trying to show you guys. I don't want to pick it up in my hand because some of these little caterpillars, yeah, all right. It's just gonna crawl around here. It's all hairy. I keep trying to pick it up and his hairs just fall off. Just go over there. Go crawl on the ground. Yeah, he just crawl on the ground. He doesn't need to crawl on the desk. I'm not gonna put it outside right now. He'll find its way out. So anyways, the same big industrial interests who set up the factory farming system are now using it as a straw man to destroy animal agriculture in general, to destroy our ability to feed our own families off of our own land. I got a couple super chats here. Jim Levi. What's up, Jim Levi? Thanks for the super chat, dude, for $2. He says, "You rock." Thanks, dude. Right on, man. Thanks for keeping this afloat, man. Keeping the channel afloat. Super chats are always welcome. All right. Let's move on. Keep going.
I ate like that for 2 weeks, and I just felt so much better. And once I realized that it was completely unnecessary, it just became a no-brainer.
That was a really good move of not showing this guy's face as he spoke. Look at this guy. This guy ate a vegan diet and felt way better, you guys. I mean, I'm convinced. I'm down.
Felt so much better, and once I realized that it was completely unnecessary, it just became a no-brainer.
I went vegan because I saw the horrors that happen on a day-to-day basis in the animal agriculture industry. I was working.
You saw the horrors on a day-to-day basis. You live in New York City. You're like 12 years old. Your skin has barely ever seen the sun. This is so sad. I mean, this poor kid, he's being set up for stunted growth for the rest of his life.
I was working for a health company. We're putting all of our patients on vegan diets, and we were reversing heart disease, we were reversing diabetes, autoimmune diseases, and I finally said I have to try it for myself.
I learned more about animal exploitation, not just the death of animals, but the suffering of animals. That is what pushed me to go vegan.
The fish were like lying on the ice when they were going, looking up at you.
We were very into birds, and she made a pledge to go vegan one year, and I said, all right, that was it.
What did that guy's shirt say? Check out this guy's shirt. Eat your own effing leg, asshole. Look at his partner. That is the cutest non-binary couple I have ever seen. That is beautiful. Look at the love between them. I really hope that when they upload their bodies into the cloud that they get to be with each other forever. I really hope so. I really hope Google allows your avatars to eternally copulate in AI fantasy world. That would just be beautiful.
All right, that was it.
When I heard about what happens in factory farming, I immediately stopped eating animals because it's so violent.
The biggest destruction of planet Earth is animal agriculture.
People are completely lied to by the animal agriculture industry. They don't want us to know what really goes on in a slaughterhouse, so we really have to bring that awareness and education to people.
Dairy is scary. Go vegan.
No mother cow, no mother
Wait.
cow.
Education to people.
Dairy is scary. Go vegan.
Anybody see any irony in that person saying dairy is scary? Huh, okay.
Go vegan.
Look at that chick with grape tits all over her. That's hot. Dude, that's the future transhumanist vegan. It reminds me of the chick with 3 boobs in what was that movie? But I've never even been to Mars. I've never even been to Mars. What was that movie? Total Recall. Jessica's never seen any movies. She's like, I don't know. I saw Mulan.
Yeah, a lot.
She's seen like Mulan like 10 times, 1,000 times. But she's
in.
in.
Sing the Christina Aguilera reflection song. What's in it?
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? This chick is definitely going to paint with all the colors of the wind when she gets uploaded into the cloud. Look at that. Look at all those tits. She has like 50 grape tits all over her. That is hot. That's so hot.
No mother cow deserves to have their reproductive system constantly exploited just so we can take their milk.
If you're a feminist, how can you not be vegan? These mother cows are being raped and tortured, and their babies are taken from them.
Why?
All right. If you're a feminist, wait, are you a feminist? This guy's a male feminist? Wow.
If you're a feminist, how can you not be vegan? These mother cows are being raped and tortured. And
All right. These cows are not being raped and tortured. Look, also, oh man, all right, it's not even worth responding to. It's just so ridiculous.
their babies are taken from them.
Why have I not been following this lifestyle my whole life?
Save the planet! Go vegan! Save the animals! Go vegan! Save yourself! Go vegan!
Whoa, there you go. And of course, social justice movement of our time. Now, of course, useful idiots out there, you know who you are. Vegan gates. You say that veganism is not a social justice movement, but it's so obvious. Even your hero, Dr. Greger, said that we need to unite with all the other social justice movements like feminism to push veganism. There's massive intersectionality between all these things. Oh no, I can't do that. All right, Victoria Moran of Main Street Vegan Religion and Vegan Values. This is an interesting clip. This could be a whole video though, breaking this down. But yeah, let's take a quick look at Victoria Moran. She gave a speech called Religion and Vegan Values. She's a celebrated speaker and host of the award-winning Main Street Vegan radio show and podcast. Featured twice on Oprah. Voted PETA's sexiest female vegan over 50. Can somebody say GILF? And listed by Veg News among the top 10 living vegetarian authors. She is also on the production team of A Prayer for Compassion, the upcoming documentary to introduce vegan living to people of faith. All right. Let's listen to this. So, unfortunately, in most of the Western world, truth has been eroded to such a degree, right? And even, especially in Protestantism, Catholicism, a lot of people are really receptive to these ideas because they don't have a solid foundation in what they believe. They don't know what they believe. Through repetition, through the mind control education system, we've had our beliefs stripped from us, and we've been given values that the elite, that the people who are programming us with this television, with this media, with this education system want us to believe. So that we're given things that are useful. We're given beliefs that are useful to the big agenda. People like this are really easily, they can really easily swoop in and basically hijack any of these movements with certain rhetoric, with emotionally charged imagery. And they're able to subvert a lot of these, people within Protestantism, within these religions. And they prey on these people. All right, so the dead metaphysics, as somebody said in the chat, someone said dead metaphysics, the dead metaphysics of the West has allowed the infiltration of the West by these nihilistic ideas and by these nihilists who use the dead metaphysics that's given to us to implant you with their ideologies, which of course fit right into the big agenda. Featured twice on Oprah. Ha.
Hey everybody! Happy Pride! Yay!
All right, this woman was voted the sexiest female vegan over 50, by the way. Look at her. What do you think?
I want to talk to you about something that a lot of people think about on Palm Sunday, and that is religion, or rather people who identify as religious or spiritual, any brand, any culture. This is such an untapped market for vegan values. So we know that there are 6.9 human beings on Earth.
This is an untapped market for vegan values. Let's brainwash religious people into buying into it. We already got the Seventh-day Adventists pushing our shit on behalf of big industry. Now let's push this diet and this ideology on all the religions.
Who identify as religious or spiritual. That's a lot of people. And that's why this film that I have produced, I'm not the filmmaker, that's Thomas Jackson, who's a Student Academy Award winner. But if you just see back there, the man on the back row, he's got postcards. We are going to be doing a screening of the film Thursday evening. It's sold out, but if you know somebody, maybe they could get you a ticket. The reason this film exists is to reach out to these 6.9 billion people, and that is billion with a B like broccoli. So why are they so important other than the fact that there are so many people in that category? There are three reasons that we have learned in making the film. That is, number one, there is no religion, there is no denomination that outlaws veganism or vegetarianism for any of its members. And number two, there are lots of indications in all the religions of the world that these compassionate ideas are actually a good idea. They've been hidden by culture, they've been hidden by tradition, and yet they are in there. In Judaism and Christianity, for example, Eden was vegan. Did you all know that?
Eden was a vegan. And the fall changed that. You skeletal slut. The fall changed all of that. So, all right. So these people essentially push. This woman is pushing her ideology, and of course, twisting scripture, twisting the truth, to make you get those feels. To make you get the feels. Come on, lady. Vegan in Eden. Yeah. Well, I'm not buying it. What's interesting, though, is, in the West, unfortunately, a lot of people are really susceptible to this type of brainwashing. But what's funny is if you read the Church Fathers in Eastern Orthodoxy, there's a long history of hashing out these doctrines, hashing out and establishing what is true and how we interpret Scripture. And it's interesting. So here's a book written long ago. St. John of Damascus, one of the early church fathers, St. John of Damascus, in his book called On Heresies, writes about several of these cults which were restricting animal foods, which were abolishing the use of animal foods. So, namely, one of the main ones was the Pythagoreans. Now, Pythagoras is actually really, really big in Freemasonry. Right? The Masonic lore heralds Pythagoras. So, Pythagoras held to the monad in providence. He also held that it was forbidden to sacrifice, that is to say, to sacrifice to the gods. He furthermore forbade the eating of animals and enjoined abstinence from wine. He made a distinction between things from the moon on up, which he said were immortal, and those below, which he said were mortal. He also held the transmigration of souls from body to body, even in the case of animals and reptiles. He taught evolution. He taught that silence should be kept for a period of 5 years, and finally he called himself God. Isn't that funny? So Pythagoras is like the original transhumanist. And of course, and the church fathers denounced this as heresy, the forbidding of eating of animal flesh. There are several other groups here which he speaks about, which he writes about. So St. John of Damascus. In Eastern Orthodoxy, we actually have protection against a lot of this nonsense and these terrible interpretations of Scripture. But, yeah, kind of interesting. So, yep, sexiest vegan over 50, Victoria Moran. I'm done with her. But it's just so funny. It always comes back to this kind of transhumanist idea of going back to Eden. Like Jared Leto's character in that new Blade Runner reboot, he talks about storming Eden, taking back Eden. What else are they promising? Oh, of course, eternal life. You're going to live forever. Eternal life is better in heaven than in hell. Wired.com. David Pierce is sharing, you could live forever with this sci-fi time hack. You're going to live forever. Seekers of immortality are saddled with the body, the physical brain, and fact of entropy. Eventually things fall apart, cells stop dividing, DNA mutates, organs fail. Who wrote this? This has got to be the same guy. No, Josh Wilbur. So he talks about Silicon Valley billionaires popping supplements, receiving hormone treatments, even pumping young blood into their veins. For all their feverish effort, eternal life remains a distant fantasy. But don't worry, there's going to be a workaround. It's going to sidestep all these problems. Time hackers, like RoboCops, time hackers want to tap into your brain. But their goal isn't to transfer the mind, like the ghost in the machine, elsewhere. Instead, the time hackers want to modify consciousness, deceive the ghost inside your head, and make you feel as though you're living forever. Their object of study is time perception, and their inspiration comes from a plot device commonly used in science fiction. So just again, more of this mind control, right? We're going to live forever through making you believe you live forever when you don't really live forever, because we're just going to mind control you. It's just the strangest ideas. The strangest ideas. But how interesting that this all kind of ties back into these ideas of cybernetics that DARPA's so interested in. Highly suggest you check out Aaron and Melissa's documentary, Truthstream Media's documentary, The Minds of Men, for a deeper look into the transhumanist movement. It actually doesn't even overtly go into transhumanism, but it talks about the roots of it in certain experiments in behaviorism and cybernetics after World War II. Some of the stuff was even going on before. But yeah, The Minds of Men. Very, very, very good documentary about this. But it's funny. Why are all these people constantly promoting the same thing? You're going to live forever. You're never going to die. You're going to have infinite power. Who else said that? Who was the original the original transhumanist who said, you shall surely not die. Your eyes will be open. You'll be as gods. Mind uploading is one of the more exotic sources of existential risk, but mass destructive uploading would also solve the problem of suffering, just not in quite the way its proponents have in mind. So they're going to stop suffering by ending life. And of course, more vegan propaganda. Does a murderous killer lurk within you? Absolutely yes, is the answer on behalf of all non-vegans. Ooh, vegans are murderers. He says, indeed, when is this horror story going to end? When is this horror story going to end? So David Pierce, he wants to end suffering. Of course, he doesn't define suffering. I guess he just defines suffering as neurons, right? We'll end suffering by switching on your dopamine constantly. Let's just fry our brains with dopamine. We'll get in a flotation tank and fry ourselves with dopamine, and that'll end all suffering. Ridiculous. Timeless truths that will echo down through the ages. Or Webmaster Dave's contribution to the Library of Babel. Let's see what this is. This is his pinned post. Transhumanism, super happiness, AI, super intelligence, veganism, utilitarianism, quantum mechanics, philosophy of mind, consciousness, and stuff. By David Pierce. So this is kind of like, I guess, his wiki of a bunch of questions. Why does existence exist? What would inexistence entail? Our pre-theoretic conception of existence and non-existence belong to classical physics and ultimately developmental psychology. Physics. Physics can tell you why we exist. So even though physics is all just based on already existing physics, it can't measure anything outside of the system. It has to reference something outside of it, but it's absurd. So what does our best scientific theory of the world, quantum physics, have to say about this presumptive default state? Alas, the experts don't agree on how to interpret the quantum field theoretic formalism. Oh yeah, we don't know. We don't know what existence is. We don't know why anything is. But we're going to pretend to. In my view, only ever it makes sense. No collapse quantum mechanics is the only interpretation of QM that it conserves realism, determinism, and locality. Determinism. These people believe it's just determinism, and this is inevitable. What are the best non-materialist theories of consciousness? Perhaps consider non-materialist physicalism. How would the world appear different if the fire in the equations of physics is consciousness and the solutions to the equations are its values? Monistic idealism, at least in its scientifically literate guises, should not be confused with a pre-scientific animism, i.e. the idea that trees, mountains, and other quasi-classical objects are unitary subjects of experience. Rather, physicalistic idealism is a conjecture about the scientific conjecture. How can it be tested? Theoretical physics offers a mathematical straitjacket for describing the structural relational properties of the universe, but we are never going to know whether the intrinsic nature of the world's fundamental fields, or brains, etc., is experiential or non-experiential. However, this dismissive response is too quick. What we can do is attempt to falsify physicalistic idealism by finding some element in our minds, the representation of which is absent from the formalism of our best scientific description of the world. All right. Just nonsense. No answers to any of these. Does a human being's right to life imply a right to life extension? Yes, of course. You have a right to become gods. How does consciousness interact with the brain? Many people think they have a brain. They've never seen or felt it. But science says that most folks have brains of sorts. The principle of mediocrity suggests that one has a brain too. A lump of cheesy, wet neural porridge inside one's cranium complements a heart, liver, kidneys, etc. to support life. Perhaps we've seen enhanced photos of neurons under light microscopy, read some texts on neural networks, waded through tons of Neurobabylon Medline, and seen neuroscans on YouTube. Maybe we've also watched videos of a neurosurgeon operating. Well, there is a sense in which each of us does have something very crudely functionally analogous to a brain, yet the cheesy wet lumps of neural porridge of one's imagination and lying exposed to inspection on a surgical operating table are mind-dependent artifacts of the conscious world simulation run by one's CNS. So it's all just rearrangements of molecules, man, like Ben Goertzel says. They believe it's all just physical, that you're just physical. And in order to stop suffering, what are we going to do? We're going to take away all life. We'll upload your consciousness into a machine. Gobbledygook. So that's David Pierce, everybody. I am interested in the use of biotechnology to abolish suffering throughout the living world. Of course, he can't define suffering, has no reason for suffering. In his worldview, suffering is just something that's to be eliminated. It's a hedonistic worldview. It's a materialistic worldview. And David Pierce talks about this openly. The hedonistic imperative. I think that was the name of his book. The hedonistic imperative. These people can't define consciousness. They don't know what consciousness is. They believe that consciousness is strictly physical. Yet, they also believe that they're going to upload this consciousness into machines and you're going to live forever and they're going to end all suffering and you're not going to have to eat, drink, move, shit, piss, fuck, work, or do anything. Because reality is just so hard, dude. Reality is so difficult. We gotta work and eat and move and stuff. Wouldn't it just be so lit if none of that was real? If we could just not exist, dude. Just upload our brains and be avatars in a sick video game, dude. That'd be so sick. transhumanism, diet, transhumanism, veganism even, nihilism, materialism. These are all tied in. So we're going to wrap it up, guys. Check out we got the free members area on the website. It's live now. We're going to be loading up so much content into the paid members section. So that's going to be awesome. We'll be announcing that in the next couple months. Make sure to check out the Carnivore Cookbook in the link in the description down below. We've got a free carnivore diet and shopping list and resources. And, you know what's cool? We also got, here we go, one more thing to show you here. We got the Steaks Over Cake shirts. Boom. We've got the Eat Meat Make Family shirts, of course, but also we just got the Steaks Over Cake shirts. We got them in black. I think we got them in white too, right? No, several colors. They're organic cotton and organic bamboo blend. Super stoked to have these ones ready. So if you want to support the channel, you want to support us through this wave of demonetization that everybody's been experiencing, the wave of deplatforming that we've been experiencing. You never know when your favorite YouTube channel is going to just be erased. If you want to support us, check out the website, primaledgehealth.com. We got the t-shirts. You can also get the book, the Carnivore Cookbook. Boom. The Carnivore Cookbook available in print. Got some really nice preview pages too. This is really a beautiful book. Right? Got a whole chapter on fats and sauces. Of course, the way we do carnivore is a carnivorous keto diet. Right? So we teach you how to get those fats in. We teach you how to use the muscle meats, how to use fish and seafood, poultry and pork, eggs. And of course, get a little bit into that raw meat, organs, and bones as well in chapter 6, which is, of course, my favorite chapter. But the chapter that most people are a little bit wary about. Yeah, the organs, using the whole animal, eating nose to tail. Crucial. Crucial for not only getting in some awesome nutrients, getting in all those fat-soluble vitamins, but also saves you some money. Right? Eating nose to tail will save you some dollars so that you can spend all that hard-earned cash on uploading your consciousness into Google Drive so that you can end all suffering by ending life itself. As a transhumanist and vegans like David Pierce tell us we should do. I'm out of here, guys. Have a good night.